What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing our newest Madden 25 realistic rebuild with the present-day Indianapolis Colts, who are an organization that are in an absolute mess. So today and every other Madden 25 realistic rebuild from here on out, we're going to be using multiple years of realistic draft classes. To this point, we've only used 2025 classes, with your Shedeur Sanders, your Travis Hunters. But classes have been made and fine-tuned for 2026 and 2027, which will encapsulate all of the good players that are currently in college football, not just the ones that are going to be draft eligible in 2025. So that's going to be 3 years of realistic college players that we are going to be able to optimize our roster with over the next minimum of 5 seasons, maximum of 10 years to turn this Colts team into a Super Bowl contender. But the fact of the matter is, this is a very polarizing roster, right? So I mean, just looking at it right now, tight end room, not great. Offensive line, not bad at all, but you look at Quentin Nelson, you look at Ryan Kelly, you look at Braden Smith. By the time that this team, I think, will be competitive and competing for a Super Bowl, those guys are likely all going to be regressing. And then you got Raymond, he's 26, 85. I'm thinking maybe him and Quentin Nelson, because Quentin Nelson's starting at such a high overall rating point. They could be here for the long haul. That left-hand side of the O-line, I'm optimistic. But you have Ryan Kelly, who most of Colt fans think threw Anthony Richardson under the bus. I will remember that. I am a Florida Gator fan. Anthony Richardson is one of my favorite college players of all time. So I'm going to hold a personal grudge on that one. And then you got Braden Smith, who's just, he's getting up there in age a little bit. So offensive line, what I'm thinking, this team's going to be competitive. I think there's major question marks. You look at our skill position players. Michael Pittman's 26, just got a big-time contract, but incredibly disappointing. I think you can make an argument he's wide receiver 4 this season for the Colts. Josh Downs is awesome. Alec Pierce is coming out of nowhere to really emerge as one of the best deep threat wide receivers in the league. You had a rookie, Adonai Mitchell, who from a height, weight, speed standpoint, he's 77, 6'2", 205, 94 speed, 95 acceleration, 85 catching. I mean, that is an absolute wide receiver 1 potential, especially when you're thinking about when this team becomes very competitive. So when you look at a disappointing player like Michael Pittman, it makes you wonder, you can't really force feed 4 wide receivers. We're already past the trade deadline, but I think this offseason, maybe some tough decisions need to be made. We got Jonathan Taylor, 91, superstar at 25. Now, I think he's an absolute awesome player. I think he's a great football player. He already got paid, so it's not like there's going to be this fork in the road where we have to decide, do we want to pay a running back or not? We're inheriting that contract and that challenge of having an expensive running back. But again, by the time I think this team's going to be competitive, he's likely going to be facing some regression. At 30, say we're here in year 5, still trying to turn things around a little bit. Even if he's 99 X factor, going from 29 to 30, he's probably going to lose 5 or 6 overall points. The regression is always incredibly harsh for running backs, and I'm worried. I'm worried a little bit. But the biggest worry is the quarterback spot. I like Shane Steichen. He was the offensive coordinator of the Eagles team that went to the Super Bowl. He was the offensive coordinator that last had Jalen Hurts looking like an MVP and had him as runner-up for MVP. I like Shane Steichen. I think this decision was the owner. I think this was Jim Irsay overstepping and saying, I know we drafted this absolute project quarterback who clearly was a project quarterback, who clearly missed significant time with injury last year, so it put him behind the 8 ball a little bit as far as his development is concerned. And I think you can understand maybe the kind of the logic. Be like, all right, Anthony Richardson's still our guy, but we got a seasoned vet like Joe Flacco. Rather keep Richardson out there and go through the growing pains and risk stunning his growth and development and ruining his confidence. Just kind of do what Carolina did or tried to do with Bryce Young when they benched him for Andy Dalton, where it's like, you're still our guy, but you need a little bit more work. And the argument is always, it's not ever a bad idea to kind of throw out the idea that you have to win with a rookie quarterback on their first rookie contract, and think more so about the long-term development, especially in the case of Anthony Richardson, where he's an absolute incredible specimen, but barely played any football. And I get it from that standpoint, but I also think overall, my take is you got to go through those growing pains. I think the only way he gets better, it's not like this is a terrible team. It's not like this is an offensive line that's got to get him killed, like we're seeing with Caleb Williams and the Bears, and like we see with Drake May and the Patriots. He is a pretty good supporting cast. I think it's a healthy environment for him just to go through the, you're not going to be any further ahead with Joe Flacco as your starting quarterback. Anthony Richardson is going to, he might, like I saw a tweet that was like Joe Flacco will go 11 for 15 for 1 touchdown and 2 picks. Anthony Richardson will go 4 of 9 for 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. So just like I feel like you just go through the growing pains of Richardson and you don't make this switch. What I'm going to do for this first year of the rebuild is I'm going to stick with that decision. And the future of Anthony Richardson, I don't know. Especially because we're committing to really losing a year of development right here. We will see. I think this is going to be a very potentially divisive offseason for this Colts team to get them in the direction that I want to go. And that's before we even talk about the defensive side of the ball. I think you have an underrated defense. The Colts defense has always been able to make plays. But again, under the discussion of when is this team going to be competitive, and when we are competitive, what is this roster going to look like? So you have Kwity Paye, who's been average, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, Franklin, Speed, Kenny Moore. All of those guys are going to be gone by the time this team is really good. So I think that needs to be heavily considered when it comes to this offseason. Latu was an excellent pick. He's already an 80 star for a rookie. I think you look at Juju Brent, 75, height, weight, speed, corner, a lot of upside. That's interesting. They generally have some interesting young defensive backs. Blackman solid. I think Nick Cross is like one of the leading tacklers in the league. But ultimately, this, much like the offensive line, I have my concerns about how much turnover we're going to have between when we are dog shit, which is right now, and when this team is ready to go on and compete for a Super Bowl title. So, very much a challenging roster to deal with. A lot of decisions need to be made this offseason. Let's get to the offseason. So we're on a 2-game win streak. We beat the Jets, which I could see the Colts beating the Jets in real life. We beat the Lions. The best record in the NFC. And EJ Speed's like, I'm going to get 2 picks, and we're going to, Jared Goff sucks. Okay, cool. Tanking my draft position. Sick. Looking at our contracts, you don't have a lot of salary cap. 47 mil. Plenty of decisions, tough decisions that need to be made. As far as starters are concerned, after what he did to my boy Anthony Richardson, if the rumors are true, no thank you. EJ Speed has been killing it in my IDP slot in fantasy. I'd love to just get this on a 1 year, like even I'll overpay. I'll go 1 year. 1 year, 7.5 if you take it. At these numbers, I'd just like more time. Well, you know what? You can go F yourself. Will Fries with that. I think we can get him on a 3-year, keep him till he's 29. It's really like the rest of his prime. It's just one position we have to, we can check off that we don't have to worry about. Julian Blackman at safety. This seems like a pretty reasonable contract. We round it up. 4 years, 32 mil. Awesome. Season's end here. We end up with respectable kind of middle of the mall rankings. Top 10 offense. We go 8-9, which had us firmly at 3rd place in the AFC South, where the Jags and Texans ended up winning. So I guess at the end of the day, we were competitive. I don't think we should face gigantic regression when we look at our roster for a down year. Joe Flacco just decided I'm actually going to be pretty decent here and go for 34 touchdowns. Did have 17 picks, which is not great. 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor. Also got some scrambling out of old man Flacco. But Jonathan Taylor, that's not bad. Josh Downs goes over 1,000 yards, 71 catches, 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns. Just under 1,000 for Alec Pierce. Michael Pittman, well under 1,000, but had double-digit touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor down there. Donai Mitchell just couldn't get on the field. But I'm seeing potential here for sure. If we did this with a 73 quarterback, almost having 2,000-yard receivers, what can we do with, our clear franchise guy, be it Anthony Richardson or whoever? Ridiculous interception numbers. Zaire Franklin and EJ Speed both went over 100 tackles. Sacks, we had 11 sacks from Buckner, 9.5 from Grover Stewart, 8 on 11 TFLs for the rookie Latu, 5.5 from Kwity Paye. But look at the picks. 7 picks for EJ Speed, who I did not give a contract to. Probably I'm going to go back to the table and say, hey, I don't care what your rating. I don't care what your regression's going to be. Maybe we'll meet him in the middle on the 2 years because he liked the money, didn't like the years. Zaire Franklin was 6 picks. 4 for Kenny Moore, 3 for Blackman, 3 for Brents, 2 for Cross, 2 for Jones. I mean, those are actually insane interception numbers. Latu ends up winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. Sick. All right, so look at the roster just very quickly as far as dev traits are concerned. Thought there might have been a shot for Josh Downs to go up to a superstar. He stays put. No other dev traits up or down on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, however, the reigning, defending Defensive Rookie of the Year in Latu goes up to a superstar dev, which is awesome. Nick Cross goes from normal up to a star. Zaire Franklin goes from star up to a superstar. I believe we did lose the superstar on Buckner, which is more so probably an age regression thing. And I definitely think all eyes go towards the offseason. First piece of business, you get all those picks, EJ Speed, you get yourself a contract extension. So I'll give him what I think is reasonable, 2 years, 14 and a half. Got to reward the production, because maybe, and sometimes it just happens to be the case, guys are just perfect scheme fits. And he could keep progressing, and still end up being a guy that gets put in a position to make all those plays on the ball. Ryan Kelly, this is for Anthony Richardson. Best of luck elsewhere. Trim the fat as much as we can on the roster, so that means goodbye Samson Ebukam. So now it's time to start trading away some of our players. Looking at Green Bay, they're offering Tucker Kraft and a 5th-round pick for DeForest Buckner. Green Bay does have depth. They got Luke Musgrave, another high-round pick. That's, it's probably a toss-up between him and Kraft. So you know what? I'm going to take that because tight end is a... You know what, actually, though? I'll do this. It's still, teeters on will this actually happen in real life. I think Green Bay does have depth. I think they would love an opportunity to bring in like a win now type D tackle, but I don't think they'd be throwing a pick our way as well. So to kind of offset the difference of sending a veteran for a player that is entering the final year of his rookie contract, I will also throw in a 4th-round pick this season with Buckner to get Tucker Kraft. The Detroit Lions, surprisingly, were the most aggressive in trying to trade for Michael Pittman Jr. For us, looking at the depth chart, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, and now we're going to be able to get Adonai Mitchell on the field. They were originally offering us a player, I don't want to say what player, and a 3rd-round pick. And I said, all right, that's, that player would never get traded. But you know what I do? I want that. I'll give me a second. So I'm going to give you Michael Pittman, and I'll give you my 4th-round pick next year and my 4th-round pick in 2 years' time to get a 2nd-round pick next season. Kenny Moore's another player that kind of fits the billing of, very good, probably at his best before date if we were going to trade him. However, there was not, if there's even with a pick standpoint, if I can make something that looks nice, I will do so. But these trades for Kenny Moore are absolutely ridiculous. And just to stay, I at least looked to see what we could get for Anthony Richardson if the decision has been kind of made that, they made a mistake and they want to go elsewhere at quarterback. The value just is not there whatsoever. So I'm thinking we're picking at 12 or 13 in the 1st round of the upcoming draft. We're not going to be in a range to draft one of the top quarterbacks. I'm thinking we just go next year with Anthony Richardson. Either he plays really well. We saw Joe Flacco go for 30-some touchdowns. So I'm actually going to hold that as the placeholder. Like if Joe Flacco's getting 34, 35, I need to see 34, 35 out of Anthony Richardson. But at worst, if we give him year 2 to be the clear-cut starter, it's only going to improve his value on the trade market if this is a decision we want to make at this exact time next season ahead of the 2026 NFL Draft. We moved away from some pieces on the offense. We got a new center. We got ourselves a new tight end in Tucker Kraft, but we're not really get the maximum benefit of that rookie contract. And, clearly Green Bay in that situation decided they're going to go with Luke Musgrave as their long-term tight end option over Tucker Kraft, which is fine by me. Wide receiver room's going to shuffle around just a little bit. Downs, Pierce, and Mitchell with no more Michael Pittman. But I'm looking at this squad where we need to improve it going into the draft. I think if BPA kind of lines up on the offensive line, someone like a Braden Smith successor could be considered. But I think ultimately, understand that we're probably not going to be able to improve the quarterback spot. The TLC needs to go on the defensive side of the ball. Linebacking core, very productive, but very old. And I'm not in a 100,000% fire sale mode where I'm trading everybody that's over 30. That's why we're keeping Franklin. That's why we're keeping Kenny Moore. That's why we're going to keep Grover Stewart, so we just have a little bit there. But I definitely think a D tackle. I think a linebacker, I think it's probably unlikely Kwity Paye gets a big-time contract extension. That could be a consideration. Another corner, especially with the fact that, Kenny Moore's likely at his ceiling, is only going to regress. So I think ultimately the word of the day is forward, as in forward thinking for this draft, where we might not have to draft someone that has to immediately start as a rookie, but again, thinking big picture, thinking long-term, that's probably how we need to approach this. So looking through free agency for a spot, I don't really want to pay any veterans because we are and just have gone through the roster and trimmed as much as we can. I think in a perfect world, we'd have like an upsidey tackle available. Jedrick Wills is there, but not quite what we're looking for. I don't know how Trent Brown still has an 89 overall, but given offensive tackle is a big need. Given D tackle would be another spot where if there was like a nice upside 25-year-old still has his best football ahead of him type player, it's towards the cash. But I think right now, with the state of our roster, with the young players we want to give those opportunities to, with how we want to approach the draft, I think it's best to roll over this $53 million of salary cap. I will say, as we started the 2025 NFL draft, that it looks like there's going to be a couple juicy picks on the defensive line. Now, I hate the fact that Deion Walker just went, because that's where I was thinking. D-tackle, big need for the squad. Tackle, offensive tackle is another position, but the top two, Campbell and Banks, off the board already, and I don't want to necessarily be picking through the scraps. So, we need pass rush help as well. I don't think Kwity Paye is going to be necessarily long-term option. Jack Sawyer, Scouting is still there. Walter Nolan at D-tackle, if we did want to still go there, which, he's a baller. Former, top 3 recruit in his class, top 5 recruit, 5-star. However, when you go just a little bit over, you still got James Pierce Jr. You got Abdul Carter. He's an absolute beast. Both these guys are likely going to fit the profile. The Colts straight up, if you know what the RAS measurement, athletic testing system is, it feels like the Colts just straight up draft the freakiest of the freaks. But I think James Pierce still being here. What do we got? 6'5", 242. He's a first-round talent. We got elites. Runs a 4.39. Okay. You're going to go on the other side of Latu. We're going to see if we can strike it rich back-to-back years. Latu, value pick. Shouldn't probably have been available when the Colts were selecting. Likely fell because of medical issues. Ends up playing way better than he should have been. Wins defensive rookie of the year. Gets the superstar def. James Pierce probably still shouldn't be on the board at 13. Not having a crazy year. But we get number 8 at true value. Getting him at pick 13. Hidden dev. 6'5" pass rusher with 92 acceleration and 90 speed. Good God. Now we're in an interesting spot here, because Kenny Moore's not getting any younger. Tacario Davis falling out of the first round. 6'4", B catching, C-man, B press, B zone. Not a freak athlete. Good enough from Arizona. I'm interested there. I'm also interested with Kenneth Grant at nose tackle. 6'3", 340. Doesn't have, but the combine is outstanding. Or option 3 and still try to chase a D tackle. I think Jordan Birch could kick inside to D tackle. 6'6", 295. Another big time athlete for that position. I think we'll go Kenneth Grant. I think this is Kenny Moore. I think might have 2 years left on his contract. We might at this point just run that out. So he will be a starter there. We'll go Kenneth Grant, try to chase a dev trait. Another big-time freak on the defensive line. And, wow, at least we get the dev trait. But that is not great value. Third-round linebackers are getting any younger. We're going to go for an athlete out of Georgia. A-zone coverage, C-tackle with elite speed. And we'll just see if we can get something in the pipeline that can succeed EJ Speed, who's likely going to be the first one that's, he's already starting to face some regression. And Munden, 98 in true value, getting at 77. No dev trait, big time speed. So, we can work with that. We still got Sonny Styles on the board. That is day 3 projection. A-zone, B pursuit, converted safety. This feels like an absolute slam dunk of a pick. 145 in true value, but we still get big time athlete with big time speed. Because we need a backup quarterback, I'm always going to show love to the Canadian Curtis Rourke, doing big-time things for the undefeated Indiana Hoosiers. We get maybe the most underrated running back in all of college football right now from Arizona State, Cam Scatterbo. 109 in true. There we go. Nice little RB2 behind Jonathan Taylor. Ultimately, feel very, very happy with how our class kind of closed things out. Scatabo 70 normal in the 7th round, 63 on Rourke. That's disrespectful. Sunny Style 68 with a dev trait. Munden 70, no dev trait, but we got 2 young upsidey linebackers on the squad. I think we have Carles, was a rookie last year to Mizzou as well. He's like a 72 rookie, or 72 going into his sophomore year. So we now have 3 linebackers who have their best football ahead of them that can learn from our 2 vets. Kenneth Grant, 71. Did he have a dev trait? He did. Likely going to be a day 1 starter. Can learn a thing or two from Grover Stewart. And we are going to have James Pierce, day 1 starter. Excellent, excellent value. And what an absolute freak of nature. So here's a look at our team year 2, because there's been some changes. Let's kind of recap where we're at. Obviously, Anthony Richardson is going to get an opportunity to start this season, and we'll see if there's going to be growth and development. Literally, yesterday's when I started the video, and when I started this rebuild, Joe Flacco was a starting quarterback. Today, early in the afternoon, Colts came out and said Anthony Richardson's going to go back to be the starting quarterback. So I'm kind of glad I didn't trade him away when we had our first opportunity to. And as a Florida Gators fan, we're going to give him every chance to develop as a starter. And really, this season, big picture, big goal, first baby step is getting off that normal dev trade, having a productive year. We saw what Joe Flacco can do, 30-plus touchdowns. I feel like if we put it in that sort of ballpark, Anthony Richardson could continue his growth and development. Wide receiver room, we traded Michael Pittman, so we're going to go Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, and Adonai Mitchell. We traded away, who did we trade? Oh, the DeForest Buckner. And we got, in return, Tucker Kraft, 79 star dev tight end at a South Dakota State. Picking on the Green Bay Packers, who have a lot of depth at tight end, at least in the context of Madden. And we got a real reliable chain mover and a player that hopefully become our, Dallas Clark, I guess. We feel pretty good about, everything else. Offensive line should be solid this season. Run game should be solid. Just the big question mark is how well will Anthony Richardson play. Defensively, feel very optimistic. We have 2 new starters on the D-line. We traded away DeForest Buckner. We're able to draft Kenneth Grant in the first 3 round. When we get round 3, round 2 out of Michigan, 71 with a dev trait. We get James Pierce. Again, need to reiterate because it's been a day, been 24 hours since I last recorded. But freak of nature athlete, 90 speed, 92 acceleration, 91 agility, 86 finesse move. All absolutely insane. We have rookie Sonny Styles who's going to get in on the action at linebacker. I feel like our defense is probably going to be better than our offense, but I think with this team, we will go as far here in year 2 as Anthony Richardson will take us. So the first time we are using a 2026 draft class. Now, this is actually the first time I've kind of looked at the players that are available. Okay, I mean, quarterback is going to be a position that we will be highly interested in. We have Nico Iamaleva from Tennessee. I think I got that one right. But, I mean, yeah, he's definitely going to be likely the top quarterback of this class, and definitely someone we need to do a lot of information on. We have Miller Moss, Garrett Nussmeier, Weigman, Haynes. I mean, not a particularly strong at quarterback class unless you can, flirt with the first pick. And I don't know if our teams will be bad enough to be that. But we could always trade up. Run game, I mean, we're good there. Not overly concerned about the running backs that are available. Wide receiver, I think another position that we feel pretty good about where our team is at. However, Canadian within the top first round in A.O. Manor. Always tug at my heartstrings just a little bit. We feel decent at tight end with some interesting names there. Fannin, big time production. Offensive tackle is definitely an area that I think we could address. Caden Proctor, Alabama, 6'7", 370. Good God. Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. He's a guy that some people are thinking could go in the first round of the 2025 draft. So that'll be a guy that we definitely pay attention to. You get Caden Green, Brailsford at center. Ernest Green, first round guard. You don't see those all the time. Then we got a couple more tackles. Cam Williams out of Texas. Mayuga out of Miami. Fano out of Utah. So I definitely think we're going to be in consideration for some of these top tackles because Braden Smith's not getting any younger. On the defensive side, I think we did an outstanding job this past offseason with Latu, James Pierce, Grant, maybe, a D tackle long term because Grover Stewart's not getting any younger. And if that's the case, I mean, you got Peter Woods here out of Clemson, who's projected to be the number 2 player in this class. He's an absolute monster. But we have the Godfather, Dante Corleone out of Cincinnati, DJ Hicks from A&M, Josh Farmer out of Florida State. Some definitely legitimate first-round caliber D tackles that are definitely going to be on our radar. Linebacking core, I mean, we got Harold Perkins, he's probably, I mean, maybe that's a little disrespectful. I'm telling you right now, if he's going into the second round, currently ranked 35, that can change. We would love to have Harold Perkins on our roster. Lander Barton out of Utah, I think. York at A&M. Ben Roberts. Got a couple decent little linebackers just because, you know, our linebackers, we have EJ Speed. We did draft Sonny Styles, hidden dev, linebacker out of Ohio State. But that's only one kind of long-term play. And I think another off-ball linebacker, you know, you got Anthony Hill, you got Jahad Campbell, who could also potentially go in 2025. CJ Hicks at Ohio State. Perkins out of Ole Miss. Some dudes there. Secondary, I feel pretty good about our corner room, but definitely some interesting names here as well that we need to, you know, do all our homework on, because Kenny Moore is not getting any younger. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. You got Josh Downs here in the secondary. We got Sab at Alabama, Kilgore. All right, I mean, I feel like 2027's class might be a little more hyphy, but there's definitely some outstanding players there, and I'm excited to, you know, go through the process, fill our board out, and dominate yet another draft come the end of the year. But with Anthony Richardson under center, where are we going to be picking? Are we going to be closer to a top 10 pick, or are we going to be competitive, make the playoffs, be picking in the 20s? I have no idea. So let's get into your number 2. So we've started the season to 2-0. And after a win over the divisional rival Jacksonville Jaguars, we have a breakout for a receiver. This could be huge. It could be Adonai Mitchell. He's in our slot, and it's Tucker Kraft, the tight end. Wow, 100 receiving yards and one touchdown could get him up to a superstar dev. That'd be crazy. Jack, that's probably the first breakout scenario that I've had in 2 rebuilds. So now I really want that to happen. Fortunately, we fall 30-20 to the Texans. Win streak ends, but do we get the breakout? It's not good. Maybe we get the XP. We don't even get the XP. Wow. So we're at the midway point of the season, and we're 3-4. Offensively, points forward, top 10. Our defense is kind of lacking right now. It's interesting. But I would say overall vibes are maybe not the best around Anthony Richardson. But if he can finish out the season strong, things could definitely turn for the better. 5th-year option. So that's going to be interesting. All right, well, contracts. Alec Pierce is 25, 26, 27, 28. Even though he's 29, 4 years, 49. Let's go. Keith, one of the best deep threats in the league. Raymond at tackle, 27. I think we could even go up here a little bit. 4 years, $90 million for a guy that probably could flirt with scratching into the 90s. Quiddy Pay, don't need him. Got a replacement. Nick Cross. He's one of those guys that they drafted. I think he was like 20 when you got him. So I definitely see here, very high ceiling player. Let's give him just an outrageous 6-year, 33 mil. Done. Don't have to worry about that position. He's going to continue to develop. Braden Smith at right tackle. That's kind of an interesting one. We have more than enough money. I'll give him one offer. If he declines it, I think this would be a spot we look at early in the draft, first, second round. Obviously, depending on what happens at quarterback. 3 years, 60 mil. He wants more. I think we get younger. I think that's the plan. Late in season, as the Colts are trying to make a push for the playoffs, we did get 3 skill points here for Anthony Richardson after 3,500 yards and 30 passing touchdowns, giving us 24,000 XP. Okay. Well, can we make the playoffs? Probably going to win out. So we end season 2. We make the playoffs. 10-7 for the Colts. A top 10 offense. When you look into it, I mean, kind of middle of the ball and everything else, but I'd rather be that than clearly bad. Looking at the stats, Anthony Richardson, we had 34 touchdowns a year ago with Joe Flacco. We don't quite hit that. Oh my God, those interceptions, way too many. Like, there's probably not going to be any dev trait there. Unless he had like 1,000 yards rushing, which he did not. Jonathan Taylor went off, 19 touchdowns, 1,100 yards, but I do think Anthony Richardson will still be a normal dev, which is an issue. But he's playing better. Cut down the interceptions. you know, we picked up the option, so who knows? 1,000 yards for Alec Pierce, 16 touchdowns for Adonai Mitchell, 7-3 for Kraft, 7-3 for Josh Downs. Jonathan Taylor getting some usage out of the backfield. I think ultimately, definitely happy for Adonai Mitchell. Gotta wonder, though, going under 1,000 yards, if he will go up, because he's a normal dev. I feel like 16 touchdowns for a normal dev should likely be a dev trade. And hey, we just gave Alec Pierce a contract extension, and I will gladly take 1,000 yards to kind of reward us for that. Zaire Franklin and Speed are both tackle machines. Latu, 17 TFLs, 10 sacks, 6.5 for Tyquan Lewis, 3.5 for James Pierce, 2.5 for... So that's weird. Tyquan Lewis is like our D-tackle 3. I have to do a little bit of digging, because wherever he's placed on the depth chart, maybe that's where we're going to have to put one of our, you know, whoever we want to get the most sacks outside of Latu. 5 picks, Kenny Moore, 3 from Nick Cross, get that huge contract in. Okay, let's go look at that real quick, because this is something that I have seen in Madden. So Lewis got 6.5 sacks. Now, maybe that's just him. Maybe he just popped off. But using that information, you can figure out when you go look at the depth chart, you know, maybe that's your money position. That's the cheesy spot where you... So Tyquan Lewis was D-tackle 3. What? Okay, where was he on the D-line? Huh. Interesting. So my rush D-tackle 3 got the second most sacks. I tried to cheese a little bit by putting Pierce there. So that, interesting. That's just interesting. I don't really know how to digest that, but not ideal with James Pierce not getting big time sacks for his rookie season. Jonathan Taylor ends up being our only award winner with Running Back of the Year award. Nice. And after kind of a meh vibe, promising meh vibe from Anthony Richardson as our first year back as our starter, I mean, we're expected to probably lose this game against the Chiefs, but if we can get a win, say Anthony Richardson looks good on top of that, optimism's got to feel pretty good. But Chiefs are a brutal role to get in the wild card round. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much, it was close, it was competitive for a 7 seed. You know, we hung with them. 29-21 we fall, but look at that, man. Just, what are we talking about here? 3 picks? 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Shout out both the receivers kind of eating there. EJ Speed with a sack. Pierce, the rookie. Styles, the rookie, with some sacks. But you are not beating the... I mean, the fact that we threw 3 interceptions and it was still a one-score game, I mean, full credit to the rest of the team. Depth traits end of the season. Too many interceptions to really get one for Richardson, which was expected. Thought Jonathan Taylor winning running back of the year could have had a shot to go up to an X factor, but he stays as a 95 superstar. But we did get the depth trait on Adonai Mitchell going from normal up to a star after a 16 touchdown season, which is pretty cool. But man, that's kind of hard done. Even running back of the year for Jonathan Taylor, no dev trait. It's kind of brutal. Zaire Franklin, older player, keeps his dev trait. Love seeing that. On the D-line, Grant and Pierce were both hidden devs. So is Styles. They're all stars. Latu, however, takes the biggest step forward on the season, now up to a superstar X Factor. So I think with the uncertainty around Anthony Richardson, it is probably best just to take the 5th-year option. It gives us a little bit more flexibility. Still only 24 years old. Coming back to the table, I would rather have Braden Smith than not. So let's see if we bump this up to maybe 9.5, 11.5. Just because, I mean, by the time he's 33, he's still probably going to be like an 80, a fringe 80 at right tackle. And you could deal with that. All right. We're not in the market for a quarterback, but rebuilds are like moments, potential turning point moments. And I'm just not even going to put an offer on Brock Purdy. 93 superstar quarterback, only 26 years old. I think for our team, I feel real good with where this team is at offensively. Could use a tackle, and of course, but it's very rare you get a tackle role. Now maybe you get someone in the interior that can kick into tackle. Filet there, right tackle. Braden Smith, of course, is the best player clearly available. Brutal. I mean, we're also in a spot right now as a franchise that we don't need to spend just to spend. We don't need a panic spend because our window is closing. Still have a very young roster. But I will spend if there's a clear and obvious upgrade to be had, and really not. Kirby Joseph would be nice, but we just signed Nick Cross, and Blackman got a contract a year ago. So I think ultimately, roll the salary cap over. Of course, we made the playoffs, so that's kind of shot us in the foot to go get Iamaleava at quarterback. I don't really, we have, shifted picks around. We do have resources and assets there, but I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be. So we are picking at 20, and we are projected to get Caden Proctor. I can live with that. Franchise-ish tackle, but that's a guy right there you can plug and play at right tackle. We'll definitely focus scout him just because we know that we're in range there. We've scouted some linebackers. As that is another position we want to continue to get younger at. Harold Perkins could still potentially be in play as kind of like a do-it-all. Micah Parsons, off-ball, rush the passer. But I do think Proctor does make a lot of sense. To get my focus scouting done here, Caden Proctor, not a slam dunk. Especially, he's falling to us. So maybe there's a reason why he's projected to be the number 6 player in the class and is still projected to be available at pick 20. Let's go to Josh Simmons, 3rd, 4th rounder, which I did not love. I also scouted way down here Malman, just because I was looking through, seeing if there's any value tackle, and he had A, pass block, B, run block, but his rest of his run block stats are pretty bad. But look at 3 A's across the board. Could be some value there. I have no idea how I want to approach this. Looking at the board, bunch of tackles already went off the board, which is the position I want to go out and get. I wonder, can we flip this pick for a future first? Just clarity. We can get a first from the Vikings, first and a third and a 5th this year. I'm only talking to 2027 firsts. 2nd round pick from the Jags. We can get a first, a third, and a 4th from Atlanta. I got a plan. You already know what the plan's going to be. You clicked the video, but didn't think about that plan. Didn't think about the thumbnail that you're about to see and you clicked on to see until I saw the tackles that were available. And now, it might not happen. It might happen. I don't know what the future holds. I might have to do ridiculous things to make it happen. But at least we're going to give ourselves a chance right now. So I think now the 2nd round tackles, I think there might be some value, but not in the 2nd round. I'm looking for BPA, and that might be a Zerier. Probably not, but we'll go with it. Thomas out of Florida State, 4 Bs across the board, 6'2", and I'm just thinking Kenny Moore is entering the final year of his contract. So if we can actually get, maybe a hidden dev corner here, gives us some stability there long term. But with those 4 Bs across the board, easily now in a blind pick situation, because we traded out of the 1st round. That's pretty good. Pretty good for a blind pick, and we get him exactly where we need to. 52 in true value. 52 really want the dev trait, and we get one. 6'2" with 91 acceleration, 92 speed, 4 Bs across the board. Love that pick. And we got a ridiculous offer. I have 2 2nd-round picks this year. The Detroit Lions are offering me a 2nd and a 3rd and a 4th. They must be in love with somebody. We got a 2 and a 3 also from the Niners. But I'm not even going to think twice about that. Thank you very much. I'm going to whore as many picks as I can next year. All right, next up, we're going to look at Elijah Pritchett in the 3rd round. Has A pass block. This was a generated class. I feel pretty good about this. But between him and Malman, who we did scout as a day 3 pick, I might just take 2 swings at it and see if we can get something of value, because one of these guys has to start for us, likely at right tackle with Braden Smith walking in free agency. We get 74 in true value, pick 84, and a dev trade on Pritchett. That is a dub. Let's go. So obviously we punted on the draft in the earlier rounds. Ended up with kind of one steal. Fa Moe out of Washington, 72 hidden dev tackle late. Which, sure, give me a little bit of value there, because the last couple of picks weren't the best there. We got Price Stock, TJ Sanders, 62, Tyreek Sapp, 61. Jaden Blue was the fastest running back available, that 90 speed, 64. Did not do the best in those rounds, but we got Pritchett in the 3rd round, 72 with a dev trait, and Thomas in the 2nd round, 73. We also have severely improved the amount of draft resources we have next year in 2027. for potentially a certain player. Now, I will say this, first and foremost, I'm a Gator fan above all. Anthony Richardson, if he plays lights out, cuts down on the picks, goes up dev trait, we'll have a lot more picks to build around Anthony Richardson. If things don't go that well, hopefully he still develops enough that we can get some trade value for Anthony Richardson and do something weird and funky in the 2027 draft. Because when we load up the 2027 class, yeah. I mean, this class is nuts. This class, infinitely better than 2026. Name value, recognition alone. You got Arch Manning, you got Raiola at quarterback. Honestly, there's two swings at it. Holstein and Pitt, I don't know about that. Avery Johnson, my boy to Florida, DJ Legway. You love seeing that. Malik Murphy. It's a big time names there at quarterback. At running back, doesn't look like a particularly strong class, which is good for us. We don't have to worry about it. Wide receiver, you get some absolute freaks. Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, Coleman, Moore's there. Wingo from Texas. Pretty good class. At wideout in particular. Tight ends, what do we got? I'm not going to lie, I'm not overly familiar with a lot of these names. Williams here at Penn State. Seton at Colorado, 5-star. Prime time. Interior, not overly familiar with these guys. Top 10 tackle there to Miami. Cool. Out of Baware, got his brother at D tackle here on the top. You got Jordan Ross, Jackson, Traore, Dylan Stewart, Mr. Shotgun, the dude on the ground. I mean, baller, man. Absolute baller. Very rare you see a true freshman pop off like that. He ends up not being great. And we got Winery, Bryce Young, Fano, Vasic, Justin Scott, James Smith, David Stone. I'm kind of, again, not overly familiar with a lot of those. Colin Simmons is a beast. Searcy from Florida. That's underrated right there. Got Sammy Brown out of Clemson for linebacker. Again, not overly familiar with a lot of these names. Into the secondary. Ellis Robinson, heard of him. I mean, again, these are players that are, freshmen. So, unless you're a fan of a lot of these teams, a lot of these guys hasn't made a lot of noise. But there are also clear and obvious absolute studs in the first round. And we have done at least our part in adding enough resources that we can be aggressive in a couple different directions. But ultimately, I mean, wouldn't that be a perfect landing spot? So we're at the midway point of year number 3. And what I have seen is not a great record at 2-5. Jonathan Taylor's been crushing it. He has had multiple player of the weeks earlier in the season, which is pretty badass. Anytime that you can start rocking and rolling in that regard, you feel pretty good. Jonathan Taylor, week 3, 211 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 45 through the air, and another one, so a hat trick of touchdowns. Week 1, we crushed it. Jonathan Taylor and Juju Brents both getting players of the week. But unfortunately, we peaked after the first 3 weeks of the season, and we are on a significant losing streak. Now, I also think it's worth noting that we've kind of played some of the hard stretch of our schedule. Lost against the Bengals, lost against the Texans. We had a loss against the Cowboys. So, I mean, for what it's worth, there's a chance that, if our schedule kind of thins out to close the year, we could get hot. And, we're 2 years in. We went 8-9 year 1, 10-7 year 2. I feel like, obviously, with the talent of this team, we should still kind of be in that ballpark. But here at week 9, looking at the contracts, $168 million worth of salary, which is awesome. We will definitely pick up the 5th-year option for Latu. But it's how do we want to spend our money? EJ Speed, probably time to move on. Grover Stewart, probably time to move on. Jalen Jones, 24 years old, already a 79. I feel like, there's no dev trait there, but he's another one kind of like Cross, where it's where's this guy going to be at 28, 29? He's going to be high 80s, and we're getting him at a cut rate price. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. We have Kenny Moore. I really wish the interest was higher. I would like to keep him. 1 year, $8 million, but I mean, he's going to regress probably pretty harshly. And I think if we're in the area of we're going to pay a corner, it should likely be Juju Brents, who's playing real well this season. So we'll get him locked in for the remainder of his prime. We got Big Q, Quentin Nelson. I feel like this is something where you just offer him a 3-year and hey, do you want to retire a Colt? Yes, sir, we handle that business. Josh Downs, awesome playmaker. Still very high. Like, that's a guy, like, what's his ceiling going to cap at? He's 25.89. Like, he can go well into the 90s. So are we going to have any issue paying a 90 overall wide receiver at $94 million? Nah, not really. That's pretty much the going rate. Tucker Kraft, who we traded for, haven't really utilized a tight end a whole lot in our scheme. But, you know, 700 yards ain't bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. He's on pace for, you know, roughly that this year. But not as prolific as I really thought they're going to be. We got Jonathan Taylor. I love that it's a 4-year. I don't love, you know, the idea generally of paying a running back. But when they're as good as Jonathan Taylor is, and the contract that they want is pretty much for, like, the remainder of their prime, I think we'll come back to the table. It'll be tough negotiations. But I think this is a rare case that paying a running back makes sense. Now we got Kenny Moore. If he will take a rounded up offer, 1 year, 9.5, so be, hey, there we go. Another guy that will retire a Colt. We'll come back to the table, get Jonathan Taylor's contract over the line. But Kraft, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the team. There we go. For $500,000 more, we got Jonathan Taylor signed over the line. You know what? Screw it. We have enough money. We're on a rookie quarterback contract. We'll get Kraft signed to a 3-year deal. At the end of the year, we go 6-11. Generally, offense wasn't bad. We almost had a top 10 offense. Second best rushing offense in the league. Second best rushing defense in the league. So those are better rankings than what we've had. And yet, you know, we were bad and not bad enough to have like a super sick draft pick. So that's like the worst. You're in that purgatory of like, if we likely are going to try to move up, it's going to cost us a lot more. And, I mean, you know, look, again, Anthony Richardson's just, you know, it's not a... Okay, 29 touchdowns, 16 picks, 4,000 yards. Also had 11 rushing touchdowns. So he had 4,500 yards. Good. He had 40 total touchdowns. Good. Interceptions, though, still super high. I think when you look at Anthony Richardson, the profile, he's an 83 overall quarterback at 24. I would hesitate to guess. You know what? I don't want to even talk about trade talk. I don't even want to talk about the draft. Let's see if it goes up depth trait. If it goes up depth trait, maybe we'll have a change of mind. 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor. Definitely slowed down the stretch. Thought he was going to have like a legendary season. Josh Downs only got to go over 1,000 yards. Mitchell was solid. Kraft was solid. Pierce was solid. Jonathan Taylor at the backfield. Getting heavy usage in the past game. Zaire Franklin, tackle machine. 8.5 sacks from Latu, 5 from Grant, 4.5 from James Pierce. I'm thinking we might need to change defensive coordinators. 5 picks, Kenny Moore is nice, but those are just, we're just cannibalizing our pass rushers. Latu and Pierce should both be, you know, those aren't good numbers. Those aren't good enough numbers, and those have been consistent numbers for what we've seen for the first 3 years. So, Gus Bradley, you're fired, probably, most likely. Looking at the award winners, I don't think we have a single one, which unfortunately we do not. But that's what happens when you have a middle-of-the-mall season. But to start our off season, I think it's time. Offensively, we did some good things. Defensively, terrible. I mean, just, you know, how much talent do you need? So we got, obviously, we're a 4-3. Wow, 3-4, 3-4, 3-4. We have Seattle. I hate to do this because it's what we do, but the one that makes the most sense is Sammy Rios from Buffalo. So look at depth traits. Again, nothing. We can't figure it out with Anthony Richardson. 40 touchdowns. Still no depth. It's just, it's one of those things, man. I feel like right as much as it pains me as a Florida Gator fan, as much as it pains me as someone that the flashes that Anthony Richardson has shown to me as a Gator fan, incredible. One of one. I don't think there's anyone else like him. It's just, we can't figure it out. For the rest of the team, Tucker Kraft, we gave a new contract. Went up to a superstar dev. Cool. Pritchett and Fa'amoe. Yeah, probably did pretty good for Canadian. Both hidden dev linemen, star dev, so we can work that out. Still surprised, man, Jonathan Taylor cannot get off superstar dev. Defensively, Latu still remains an X factor. We lost the dev trade on Grover Stewart, but he's hitting the open market. Lost the dev trade on EJ Speed, but he's hitting the open market. Then we got the corner there to Florida State, star dev. I mean, we're in a pretty good spot here. You know, nothing too harsh as far as regression. I honestly think with 40 touchdowns for Anthony Richardson as a normal dev, pretty harsh. He didn't get a dev. Tucker Kraft gets a dev trait, but Anthony Richardson doesn't. Now, for free agencies, it's decent class. Usually I'm the one that'll be overly negative talking about a free agent class. Hey, there's absolute junk here. But just for our team's needs, like I need a D-tackle. D-tackle would have been maybe a position I would have splurged on if the right name was available. Unfortunately, we did not get a great role there. Feel good about our linebacking core. Feel good about our secondary. For what it's worth, you know, if you wanted a corner, we're passing on Bryce Young. But I think we all know kind of what's going to happen at quarterback. So let's see mock draft 5. Where is Mr. Manning going? Okay, not the first pick, which makes him a little more affordable for whatever that is. Trade from pick 5 to pick 2. Now, I don't want to trade Anthony Richardson within the division. What can we even get for Anthony Richardson? So the Browns are interested. The Cardinals are interested. We have Rondale Moore, Debo, Drew Phillips. 85 superstar corner. Ooh, like some of that. Linebacker, center. Luther Burden. I mean, I won't do that one. Counter offer the card. Hear me out. What if I take you out? You out. You out. You out, you out, you out. What if I take out all the value there? I'll do that. What if I do that? What if I do... You know what I'm trying to do. I need a center. Center and right guard. I'll also throw in my starting right guard. Anthony Richardson, Alec Pierce, Will Fries... No, I can't do it. This is still a realistic rebuild, and while it will be cool to have Arch Manning throw to Marvin Harrison Jr., we're gonna have to hope Marvin Harrison becomes a free agent because they would never do that. All right, so because we're not gonna, because I would just come on. Let's be honest. I get it. I like this one for the Giants. Giants desperate for a quarterback. Drew Phillips, 25-85 superstar. Would have to pay him. We'll also get a third-round pick. Gives us some nice... we already have the draft picks, I think, to move up. So, there we go. Add a beast corner. So, with that being said, we've traded within the division. The Indianapolis Colts have traded from pick 5 up to pick number 2. We are sending pick 5 of the 2027 draft, pick 20 of the 2027 draft, our 3rd round pick, our 5th round pick, and our starting right guard, Will Fries, who right guard, as you can see right behind the little chat, it's the 3rd biggest position that the Titans want to improve. 2 first-round picks to move up 3 spots. Colts get a top 5 pick and they throw in a future 3rd as well. Come on. All right, it is time for a chance to maybe have one of the most iconic pairings of our Madden 25 rebuild cycle. Also a chance. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way that the mock draft screws up here. So Jeremiah Smith goes pick 1. Pick 2. The Indianapolis Colts are on the clock. And after trading away Anthony Richardson, after giving him 2 years worth of opportunities, it is time to bring the chosen one back home. Arch Manning, 3 A's, B, DP accuracy, elite throw power, maybe even dogging him a little bit on that 4.64. But much like his uncle, 20-some years prior, he's looking thick, man. That guy's bulked up. That's why he returned to school. Went back to Texas. Said, I'm going to come out at 250. Anthony Richardson's 250. I'm going to be 250. Let's see what he is, man. He's got to be top 10. Top number 9 in true value at pick 2. 95 throw power, 85 speed, 86 acceleration. Please, please let this work out. An unconventional pick, but he's the best player left on the board for us. Whit Weeks out of LSU. 3 A's, off-ball linebacker. Franklin's getting up there in age a little bit. Really, Sonny Styles is our only linebacker that has long-term value with our squad right now. So I think it just kind of lines up. And that's even then, that's a reach. 71 in true value, getting him at 37. At least we roll a dev trade. All right, in the third round, traded out of our second round pick for future picks. So we're going to go in the third round at pick 5. We got P.J. Williams, the tackle of an SMU. I'm looking at our line. And Raymond, at like 30 years old, he's probably at his ceiling. So, I mean, to kick the can on potentially developmental tackle. And we get a good pick in terms of value. 65 in true value, getting him at 69. And we get a dev trade, 90 strength for the SMU tackle. All right, here we go. Moment of truth. I actually think we got some studs late. Last 2 picks. We have no kicker or punter on the roster. And we got kicker and punter. That's exactly what we got. 74 normal on Horvath. 75 normal on John Love. We got Hero Canoe out of Ohio State who had 96 strength. Just normal dev. Isaiah Smith, Lawson Lucky were just athletes. 72 hidden dev on P.J. Williams to be the understudy, if you will, for Raymond. Weeks in the second round. Maybe a little bit of a reach. But 72 hidden dev for a developmental linebacker. Not too bad. And Arch Manning only. That may be the thing that people say. Only a 76 overall. But we're only going to put the C on his chest. I mean, looks still pretty good. And hopefully, unlike Anthony Richardson, the Colts organization doesn't ruin another elite quarterback prospect. So we got Arch in the drills here. We're also going to play his debut game in the NFL. We'd love to see if we can get a gold. Oh, yeah. No, definitely not getting a gold by barely nicking a clean look at the target board. But we got silver, which is going to be good enough for him to get at least 1 skill point out of camp. And I never got silver with Anthony Richardson. Arch Manning's NFL debut is going to start on the road against the 86 overall Atlanta Falcons. We are technically, and look at it, pretty much in every category, a better team. So we feel pretty good trotting out the rookie quarterback in a situation where I don't think our roster is going to fail. That's always the biggest question. That's something that relates to this rebuild because Anthony Richardson, you know, the big debate. You look at some of the other quarterbacks that are young and are struggling. Caleb Williams, Drake May, kind of. Drake May showing flashes. But ultimately, people say, like, you know, maybe you rest those quarterbacks. Maybe you don't play them right away. You redshirt them because the team's not good enough and they're going to be set up to fail. But the inverse has kind of been Anthony Richardson with the Colts. Great roster, playoff caliber roster. Why is he struggling? Didn't work out. Colts right now with Arch Manning, playoff caliber roster. We shouldn't have to worry about those issues. I'd love to see him ball out here against the Atlanta Falcons. All right, first pass. Arch Manning's career. I think we're going to just ease him in, hand the ball off to all-pro running back Jonathan Taylor. We go, psych. We're going to get you to bite. We're not only going to get you to bite, we're going to get smashed in the pocket. Got to remember, his uncle, Peyton Manning, as a rookie, led the league in interceptions. Hopefully that will be something we do not do with Arch Manning, but we have seen with Joe Flacco year one and every year other with Anthony Richardson that a lot of interceptions can be had here. Oh, there's just, it's not going to get a lot easier than that. A lot of interceptions can be had here with this Colts offense. Also, would love to see Adonai Mitchell, 6'2", 6'3", with 95-plus speed. One of the best height, weight, speed players in the league. Run away from the veteran Jesse Bates there. There we go. Arch right on a slant inside to Josh Downs. And there you have it. The first of hopefully many passing touchdowns for Arch Manning in the NFL. There we go. Nice separation, Alex. I mean, maybe it's not the big trade to bring in Marvin Harrison Jr., which I might have just should have said, like, F it. Realistic rebuild, yeah. But we'll see. I may revisit that. You never know. I would love to have it organically happen. Like, he's just, there we go, easy does it. He's just available in free agency, and then we just drop the bag. But for right now, pretty happy with the trio of wide receivers we have. Colts, who we acquired in the Anthony Richardson trade with the Giants, gets a nice pick on Mike Penix. It's just, oh, all right. Well, let's get another touchdown. Trading tutties here. Don't want to turn into a negative. Again, thank God. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't play College Football 25. That's where we'll leave that at. And I don't know how Madden's still in this state at November, but here we are. Luckily, menu merchant season. We're fine by it. And Arch Manning's NFL debut, pretty damn good. 3 touchdowns, 200 yards, and a win on the road. Let's build on this. This feels like as good a time to pull it in. We're on a 2-game win streak. We are 5-2. We're only a win away from equaling last year's win-loss record. And in a 41-14 victory over the Carolina Panthers, we have Arch Manning's first player of the week with 4 touchdowns, and Latu thriving in the new defensive scheme with 4 sacks. And he is going to be very, very expensive when it comes time to pay him. We've also, I don't know if we'll get it here because he got player of the week. What was the biggest issue that kept coming up? It's not there. Time and time again with Anthony Richardson. And what were we always chasing with Anthony Richardson? We were chasing dev trait regression. We knew the talent was there. We knew the potential was there. Would he ever get there with a normal dev trait? Well, we don't have to worry about that with Arch Manning. Out the box, superstar X Factor. He's already at 81 overall. I am spending the points, though. Thinking about, in terms of growth and development, making him a perfect scheme fit. So I'm going into field general. Not necessarily min-maxing his overall, but I think eventually we will make him a perfect scheme fit. I have no worries about that. We're going to have excessive amounts of XP with his Superstar X Factor dev trait. So look at the contract. I mean, this rebuild might be speeding up here. I was thinking we might need 3-4 years with Arch to kind of figure it out, build the team around him. They beat an X Factor right away. We could be pretty good. All right, looking at our team here. We have Borderlini, our starting center. He's worth 3. Let's get him a 4-year deal. 4-year, $30 million. Keep him in place. We have a Dada Mitchell. Why not? Let's be 3 deep at wide receiver. That's a reasonable contract. Drew Phillips, who we just traded for, we're not going to let him walk. That's actually an incredibly reasonable contract for a superstar playmaker, as he got that big pick in that debut, regular season debut, that is, against the Atlanta Falcons. We have surplus depth at corner. I love Kenny Moore. I just feel like this is we're not going to spend that cap anywhere. Let's see if he retires. And then he hits us with the not sorry, not sorry. Interesting. Oh, you're not seeing double. It's just the week after that. Arch Manning is another player of the week. 4 touchdowns. Not worried about it. So in our first year of the Arch Manning era, we go 11-6. He closes the season 37-14 over the Cardinals. Cardinals went 1-16 on the year, so maybe we should have saved Marvin Harrison Jr., but another Arch Manning Player of the Week performance. 5 touchdowns, 3 through the air, 2 on the ground, did throw a pick, but that is still, I mean, we're very happy with where he is at. You look at where we're at offensively, I mean, still offensively, like in the ballpark of where we were with Anthony Richardson, maybe even our rushing yards a little bit lower. Our defense made significant improvements. We win the AFC South. Let's take a look at the stats. We hit 40 total touchdowns last year with Anthony Richardson. Arch Manning, as a rookie, gets more passing yards than what we've ever got with Anthony Richardson. More passing touchdowns than what we ever got with Anthony Richardson. And less interceptions than what we've ever thrown with Anthony Richardson. Rushing, still decent numbers. We did have double-digit rushing touchdowns with Anthony Richardson, but still 4 and 7 for Arch, who is, I don't know if it's fair to say he's a dual. He can scramble. He's a very big time. I think, he's a dual threat quarterback. It's fair to say that. 1,100 yards, 15 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor. Almost 3,000 yard receivers. I think as this whole group continues to grow and develop together, we should be able to hit that. But 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns for Mitchell leading the room. 9 and 8 for Downs, 9 and 10 for Alec Pierce, 7 and 5 for Kraft. Jonathan Taylor pretty versatile at the backfield. Look at the defense. 200 tackles. Look at the sacks. Oh, crazy. Latu with 17, 14 James Pierce, 11.5 for Kenneth Grant. Interception numbers maybe down a little bit from where they were. Drew Phillips and Kenny Moore with 3, but that is what we need to see. Finally, our defense playing to their potential. Pretty good when your rookie quarterback makes the MVP shortlist as a rookie. Arch runs away with Offensive Rookie of the Year. I will say, a little surprised that's our only hardware that we're bringing home. I thought a lot of players kind of balled up. But look at our team. 90 overall with a 93 offense. From here on out, we should be contending and going on deep playoff runs. And the first time we make the playoffs, we are humbled. So we go 0-1. Tough draw against the Ravens. They're not quite the cheesy Chiefs, but they're pretty close. As Lamar dumps us 21-14, and it is a humbling game for Arch Manning. 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Lot the kid can learn from that one. Josh Downs gets the touchdown. Defensively, I mean, we did decent. 2 sacks. Very tough to bring down Lamar Jackson. It's humbling. No other way to put it. So depth traits at the end of the season. We know we got the X factor on Arch Manning. Look at the rest of the team, man. Just like Mitchell should be going up. Like some of these guys, other players should be going up. We've got Rob with dev traits this whole rebuild. Defensively, like James Pierce should be going up to a superstar. Sonny Styles should be going up dev trait. Kenneth Grant should be going up dev trait. Drew Phillips does go from superstar to X factor, which again is just outstanding value that we got in return for Anthony Richardson. You know what? Now that we're on that too, we just see, okay, we got an X factor in return. I believe a 2nd-round pick was the other meat and potatoes of that. How well did Anthony Richardson play for the Giants? He's continuing to develop, 87 overall. Statistically, we had 27. I mean, still the same guy. More passing yards than he had with us. Touchdowns pretty much in line. Interceptions also in line. And they didn't use him nearly as much as a dual threat. I feel sorry for him. Appreciated OG as we let him walk. Zaire Franklin, his career with the Colts, 851 tackles, 39 TFLs, 7 sacks, 9 picks. Thank you for your service. Look at how to not have the same mistake, same end of a one and done the playoffs. Where do we need to get better? D-tackle 2. Could use maybe, you know, an upgrade at linebacker. I'm not worried about it. Weeks and Styles should be primarily our linebackers. I moved Jalen Jones to safety because Blackman's getting up there in age a little bit. So we could probably just, you know, pass that one. Kenny Moore's in the final year, but look, we're 4 deep at corner, so I'm not worried about that. I mean, yeah, we need, you know, we're good. D-tackle. That's about it. And of course, go to free agency. Probably not going to get a role that helps us out. At D-tackle, we have Aleem McNeil. I mean, that's pretty good. Vanessa Nealand. I don't think we need a D-tackle that bad. I don't think we need a D-tackle that bad to put $25 million and put our cap room in jeopardy next year for re-signing and retaining our own players versus, say, just going after a D-tackle in the first round. So there's good and bad news. Great news. We scouted all the top 3 D-tackles because that's our position of need. First 2 kind of suck. The one that's going to be in our range is Zach Gales. Pick 39, so could squeak out of the first round, is a top 5 pick. So, I mean, I likely would have blind picked him anyway if I didn't know that information. A tackle, B power move, C finesse, B block shed. Incredibly well-rounded for a rookie for the key ratings. And then you go look at this, and he's like, oh, he just puts up 41. I don't know how he isn't getting elite strength in his base rating, but 40-plus reps on the bench press. Yep, welcome to the Colts. So with pick 23 of the first round, which is huge that we were able to keep our future picks when we traded up for Arch Manning, which I guess that's the benefit of just not being a good team. But we're going to trust our scouting here and see it. Zach Gales. Now, top 5 doesn't always mean they're going to be like an X factor. Sometimes you get a guy that has a big rating, no dev trait. Hope that's not the case here. But we just got the number 1 player in the draft. No dev trait, though. Oh. Damn, that sucks. All right, up next, going to reach, but I just want my athletes. I want my freaks, and that's what we got here. DeAndre McKell, the most athletic linebacker in the class, number 25 in true value at pick 55, and we get a dev trait roll here. And we're just going to get another pick that's like, let's just get your guy. And we have AD route running, 4.2 speed, E-lead on Braylon Murphy. I don't care if it's UDFA. I'm making sure I'm getting him because I've seen those guys, you sit and wait. They'll go in the 4th or 5th round out of the blue. So we're going to get Braylon Murphy here, number 43 in true value at pick 63. Dev trait, elite speed. It gives us a little bit of youth in case this rebuild goes a little bit longer. You know, we probably aren't going to get to a spot where Downs, Mitchell, Alec Pierce, probably most likely Pierce. I think he's closest for a contract extension that we can afford to re-sign all 3 of them. So at least we got a freak of nature at wide receiver in the pipelines. I mean, if you're just going to give me the perfect roles, God rolls with everybody. We have Raheem Miller at running back. Don't necessarily need a running back, but he is a ball carry vision, a carry, probably 4.5 speed, which you could have guessed. These guys are blueprint. Every 2-3 drafts, they're there. You can go find them. Number 18 in true value, getting him at 72. No dev trait, though, but should have a really good rating. Another third round pick. Best lineman available. We have John Knight, who has B pass block, B run block. Only lineman available that has a above C in either one of those that's still remaining. He also has elite change of direction, so some Knight athleticism, and he's number 50. Entry value pick 74 with a dev trade. Did a lot of picks. Looking at our draft recap. Not gonna lie, just set our board and kind of simmed it out. So, you know, maybe could be surprised with a dev trade here or there, but we hammered home with our value picks. We got DeAndre Queen was the best athlete available. He just so happened to be a running back, wasn't necessarily trying to double dip. By the time you get a running back, he is 5'5", but he has 93 speed, 93 acceleration, 94 agility. Probably going to be pretty good. Knight, 73 with the dev trade, 75 normal on Miller, 73 dev trade on Murphy, 74 dev trade on McKell, 77 number one player in the class, normal dev. Oh, God. I love being back in the Madden generated world. It's like punishing me for doing that. Terrible class. Terrible, you know, absolute down year. Luckily, we got Arch Manning last year. Didn't have to worry about getting a quarterback this year. So now we know where we're at as a roster. We know that this is a revenge tour after being embarrassed in the first round of the playoffs last year. We're off to a 5-2 start. We're offensively, we're rocking and rolling. Defensively, top 3 in the NFL. Just need to maintain this pace, and we will be in contention for a first-round bye. Now, we've been very, very quiet on the free agency front. That is because we've drafted well. When you draft well, it means you're going to have expensive decisions that need to be made. Blackman was a starter. I think we move on. Sonny Styles, this is one of those ones where like he's getting classed as a pass rusher, but still, he's been really, really productive. Probably could get him for $1 million more. I mean, he's interested in coming back. We have Latu, who's been incredible. Give him a 4-year, $115 million deal. So 53 remaining. Kenneth Grant's also been very good. See, we hit him with a player-friendly deal. We are operating on the rookie contract of Arch Manning, so we should be able to come back for Sonny Styles again, like maybe $1 million more. And likely this will mean another quiet free agency period, but I'm totally fine with that. We finished the season, we go 13-4, and I was like, how the hell are we not getting a first-round bye at 13-4? Usually that's a pretty good lock. We have the number 2 offense, number 2 defense in the NFL. You look at it, there's a 3-way tie. 13-4 for the Colts, 13-4 for the Chiefs, we got the 1 seed, 13-4 for the Ravens. Buffalo right with it. So the AFC uber competitive here in year 5. Looking at our stats, 40 touchdowns. 4 picks, Arch Manning, the Wonder Kid, is every bit. 48 total touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor, 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns. We got 11 and 21 from Alec Pierce, 1,000 yards for Adonai Mitchell, almost 1,000 for the tight end. Josh Downs on the outside, still 7 touchdowns, second of the team in total touchdowns, and almost 800 yards in decent receiving numbers for Jonathan Taylor. Defensively, Whit Weeks goes over 100 tackles. We get 14 sacks, Latu, 9.5 James Pierce, 8 from Grant, 6 from the number 1 true talent player from last year's draft class in Gales, who at normal dev, man, he might be putting himself in a good spot for Defensive Rookie of the Year, which would likely be a dev trade. Kenny Moore, in what could be his final year as a Colt, led the team with 4 interceptions. What a season, and we're not changing anything. We saw it. We fired our DC, and we brought in a Bills background defensive coordinator, so I changed my defense to the Bills, but this is still the exact same Shane Steichen offense that we had going all the way back to Joe Flacco. Oh, okay, cool. Arch Manning is the MVP of the NFL. Second year as a sophomore. Also the Offensive Player of the Year. Unfortunately, Gales does just lose out as runner-up for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Jonathan Taylor, Running Back of the Year. So we now have pretty much the greatest quarterback prospect ever. And we got Houston. Actually, I think we need to upgrade our players. It's been a minute. Been a couple weeks since we've even looked at this. Probably have a couple big upgrades, 3 and 4s, which we do for both Gales and Weeks. Couple 2s there for Arch Manning. So we'll make sure, because we do not want to be embarrassed. We want to at least get a playoff win or 2 while we have the reigning defending NFL MVP, 10-7 Houston Texans at home in the first round. And we're able to go out and handle business. No player of the week performance, but we know what? We do get an opportunity to avenge last year's playoff loss against the Ravens. But we handle business 23-14. No touchdowns from Arch Manning. Doesn't turn the ball over. We ran the football. 2 touchdowns, Jonathan Taylor. And our defense stood up. James Pierce, 2 sacks in a TFL. Latu with a sack. Grant with a sack. The D-line just way too much for C.J. Stroud and the Texans. So a chance to avenge our loss against the Baltimore Ravens, who have the #1 offense, #1 rushing offense, and a top 5 defense in the NFL. This is legitimately two of, I mean, you always got Kansas City in the mix, but excluding Kansas City because it's just always there. We are probably the first or second best team in the NFL with those parameters. Let's see if we can get a little bit more production out of our MVP quarterback and ride him to a championship game, which we are able to do a Player of the Week performance from Latu. 5 tackles, 2 sacks, and of course, it's the Chiefs. Of course, Josh Allen loses to the Chiefs, gets Player of the Week, but the Chiefs still find a freaking way to win because that's just what they do. 24-14 for the Colts here. 2 touchdowns, no picks for Arch Manning. Also had a rushing touchdown, giving him 3 on the day. 2 touchdowns, Jonathan Taylor out the backfield. Defensively, 2 sacks for Latu, a sack from James Pierce, a pick from Whit Weeks. And here's the measuring stick. I mean, we might have an opportunity to play the Chiefs and the Cowboys in a playoff run, which is the ultimate run. That is the ultimate season. We also will fully acknowledge that we need to go in full strength. We'll make sure our team is as good as they can be. We got Arch, Raymond, Gales, McKell, 4 different starters, all getting a little bit better here ahead of the AFC Championship game. 13-4 Colts, 13-4 Chiefs. And Arch Manning, well, we don't have to play the Cowboys if we won. We have a weekly award winner. Let's look at the weekly award winner and see if we can guess if we won. We have both offense and defense, but it's the Chiefs. We probably lost. Oh my God, it wasn't even close. Just a sec, keep it here live. I mean, again, anytime you beat the Chiefs, there's going to be questions. No questions about it. Beat the Ravens. Conference championship, absolutely smoke the Chiefs. And we might be able to get out. I don't know. We say we want to get out here with a 5-year rebuild. 5-year rebuild, we're usually around an hour, which is a great time. But I feel like we're just starting to scratch the surface of Arch Manning here with the Colts. But Super Bowl's a Super Bowl. And we have a ugly 9-7-1. A Vikings team that found a way to tie. 2 points there for Arch Manning, bringing it up to a 98 overall. And the Colts have an opportunity here against a Cinderella Vikings team. Justin Jefferson didn't even get 1,000 yards. They don't have one single top 10 rating. We can't lose this. This has to be a dub. This has to be the episode finale. So we're going to treat this Super Bowl the same way we treat any Super Bowl. We have 3 opportunities to hop in on the sticks if need be. And I definitely want to hop in with Arch Manning and what could cap off a perfect Madden 25 Indianapolis Colts realistic rebuild. In a game that we need to honestly, this belt to ass type matchup. Colts score first, go up 7-zip. It looks like what this tail of the tape, if you're breaking it down, how it should be lining up here. 14-14, however, in the third, late third. Clock's not running. We're going to cash in one of these 3 times, and we're going to run one of my favorite plays. They've nerfed the slant play. They have not nerfed mesh. And we're going to have Jonathan Taylor out the backfield. That's where I want to go with this. By that, we're going to check down to Lucky, who is lucky number 7. Probably the worst guy on the field. But that's what we do. We hop on the sticks, and we target the worst guy by at least 10 overall points on the field. We're going to open up here in the 4th. See if we can get Arch Manning his 2nd passing touchdown of this Super Bowl. Josh Downs on a slant. Throw that in quickly. Looks all right. You got, let's be honest, that was a hospital ball. He catches that. 45 is lighting him up. We need a good play call here. Wide trail. Got a Donnie Mitchell, Pierce. All the way back to Josh Downs. 23, caught, 33, sleeping. And that is a go-ahead score for the Indianapolis Colts. We're going on. We're just going to kill the clock off. Boom. Super Bowl Win. W-I-N in the notes. A successful, but don't hit the check mark. Madden 25 realistic rebuild. Arch Manning gets the job done. Only 2 seasons, but that is what happens when you have a playoff caliber roster. God bless Anthony Richardson. He tried to develop. We couldn't make it happen. You bring back a Manning into the fold. He just so happens to be a superstar X Factor, and superstar X Factor's quarterbacks. This is what they do. They transform your organization. I thought, honestly, this would probably be at least a 3-year, if not 4-year time frame that we would have to, continue to build, continue to allow Arch Manning to develop. And then he's just like, nah, actually, in my sophomore year, I'm going to go ahead and win the MVP, and then we're going to go win the Super Bowl. Great role of Super Bowl. Right? We could have played the Dallas Cowboys. Would have been a lot more difficult. We play a team that's barely above 500. We play a team that we are better at offensively and defensively by multiple points. And I think it is fair to say that you're probably going to be giving Arch Manning the Super Bowl MVP here. 2 passing touchdowns. Nearly a perfect game. Donnie Mitchell goes over 100 yards. Good for him. No one crazy on the defense. So that is NFL MVP and a Super Bowl MVP for Arch Manning. With our Super Bowl, let's take a look at our stats, what we've been able to accomplish throughout this 5-year period. Only 2 years as a starter, 8,800 yards for Arch Manning, 77 touchdowns, only 16 picks. Also almost has 1,000 on the ground with 15 rushing touchdowns. Incredible. There's no other way to put it. You got 10,000 yards rushing and 114 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor. Very consistent throughout this rebuild. 5,900 yards, 56 touchdowns for Alec Pierce, coming off a ridiculous 21 touchdown season this year. 5,300 yards, 40 touchdowns for Josh Downs. 42 and 36 for Adonai Mitchell. Tucker Kraft, 4,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, splitting time between us and the Green Bay Packers. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, I was actually another thing, probably the most surprising thing of this offense, outside of Alec Pierce going for 21 touchdowns, is I just didn't really think this was going to be an offense that utilized the running back a lot in the passing game. But that was totally the case, as we have almost 14,000 total yards and almost 140 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor. Defensively, Kenny Moore does his whole career with the Colts. 878 tackles, 39 TFLs, 11 sacks, and 38 interceptions. 57.5 sacks for Latu, developed into an absolute beast. James Pierce Jr., 31.5 sacks, finally put it all together here under a new scheme. 26 sacks for Kenneth Grant, he's a nose tackle, so those are bizarre numbers. 14 picks for Julian Blackman. Brents with 8, 7 for Nick Cross. So all in all, very good production. Happy with the production, especially the last 2 years. So with all that being said, it comes now down to you guys in the comments section below. Now that we have access to 3 years of realistic draft classes, which will have every exciting player that currently exists in college football, who should our next rebuild be focused around? Obviously, from this Arch Manning class, we have 2 very prolific wide receivers, one from Alabama, one from Ohio State in Williams and Jeremiah Smith. You could look at different quarterbacks. Imaleva from Tennessee. That's probably be a pretty good rebuild. There's some other quarterbacks. I mean, there's probably someone that's hoping that I just didn't get a quarterback. We made this a Curtis Rourke thing. Shout out Indiana Hoosiers and Coach Sig. But please, let me know in the comment section below which rebuild you guys want to see next with what players. As always, if you're first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button, as we're getting very, very close. Psych, not really. But we are beginning a new journey. We just eclipsed 175,000 subscribers on the channel. Now we're on to the next big goal, which is 200,000. So subscribe if it's your first time stopping by. Hit that like button for the old YouTube robots. Send this video around in other people's recommended feeds. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out. Love ya. Have a good one.